Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man that has been searching for Cora Monroe for 30 years. It's Erik Hoffmeyer.
Yeah, I promised her I wouldn't stop searching for her, but now I'm just wondering, why did I leave her in a cave behind a waterfall?
That was a long drop in Chimney Rock there, where they filmed.
That was at Hooker's Falls there.
You and I
that wasn't
reenacted
actually
scenes.
a cave.
We
Yeah, you're
reenacted
right.
scenes from that, where Uncas walks around and bops a guy in the face. You and I reenacted that scene. Probably
You're
in,
right.
what do you think, 2000 and... I was probably 13 or 14, maybe?
No, that was like 96.
Oh, 96. Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, that was 96. I was 14 then. I'm old. That was like,
We
yeah,
were in our
2000,
20s.
2004.
We were in 20s running around reenacting.
Pop. But yeah, I remember reenacting that. I mean, that movie, when I bought the VHS tape and it came with the soundtrack cassette. Like, that's how long that movie has been in our lives. And it's the rare like R-rated movie that's not totally, there's violence in it, yeah, there's sex in it, but it's not really overly gratuitous, so you could kind of get away with watching it because it's a historical epic and it's not, RoboCop. So we were able to check it out.
RoboCop on the frontier fighting the British.
Oh my gosh, yeah, just wiping him out.
Yeah, that's a good point. It wasn't too bloody, but there were some really physical action scenes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure they had a lot of injuries amongst the actors and the extras on set.
Well, they had Dale Dye. I sent you this video, and they had Dale Dye, the guy who did like Band of Brothers and Saving Private Ryan on set, and he took about 75 guys who played French and English soldiers, trained them up. They're walking in formation. They brought in 300, Native Americans, American Indians. Actually, that in an interview with Russell Means, though, he said that they put them in this like.
There's a campground.
Yeah, a campground, but he put like 6 to a room, so there should have been 2. And then him, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Eric Schweg all got on the picket line, and then they talked to the producer, Hunt Lowry, who produced that Deep Blue Sea 2 and 3, and he follows Deep Blue Sea on Instagram, and we're buds with him, which is awesome.
Nice connection.
And then he said, and then Hunt Lowry just agreed to all their commands. But I mean, yeah, they put like 300 people in the middle of summer, in the middle of nowhere, in these 2-person bungalows, yeah.
Months at a time.
But that's Michael Mann, dude. Like, I know you've been watching some Michael Mann movies lately, and you've watched them before.
He's intense.
I've covered that. I've covered Heat. I've covered Manhunter and Collateral. And he doesn't mess around, dude. When you work with Michael Mann, like when Jamie Foxx was working on Collateral, he's like, drive this cab until you're no longer driving it. So when in the movie, it's not like he's going, woo, swirling the wheel. Like he just naturally knew how to drive it. Tom Cruise went to the range, and you watch him, he went full Keanu and John Wick, just nailing targets. Jada Pinkett Smith had to call people and like talk to people who would potentially be her parents. Like he knew a couple, and he's like, these would be your parents, so talk to them. So like he puts like what he put Will Smith through in Ali, and what he does, and like the way he shoots, and just, I mean, he's just a maniac. And can I get your thoughts on this, Erik?
Yeah.
To make the fort in this movie, they tore down 40 acres of
forest. But somehow they saved the wood for the set.
Yeah, all the sets.
Yeah, the log cabins.
Yeah. So they were like, it's cool. Like, we destroyed 40 acres, but we built the fort. We built some cabins. We took the bark off of it and used that for homes.
Well, it's part of healthy forestry. I mean, you got to have fire breaks,
True.
Clear out the old stuff so the new stuff can grow.
Yeah, they cleared it out. And then they built, but that's what I love about Michael Mann, where like you're not gonna have a foam fort where you see people bopping into it and it moves. Like when you watch this movie, you feel that fort, you feel the cannon.
Those cannons were great.
Just
that was realistic stuff. That shot where they had it scanning the entire battlefield at night.
Just the amount of extras that they had, and just the amount of choreography. And when they said that,
do you miss those practical effects now?
Yeah, I really do. And Michael Mann is still striving for those. And there are directors like I know the John Wick movies have some VFX, but they're still trying. You still get a few movies that sneak in.
That's why I love Mission Impossible so much.
Yeah, like Fallout, Maverick. I think people still really do respond to practical effects. And so, I mean, like, even to James Cameron's credit with Avatar, like, he puts people in the water for 6 minutes. and then makes them do their scene. So even though he animates over them, like he's in the water with them getting dirty. So I think people respond to those. And I mean, this movie made $143 million in 1992. And when you think about
143?
when you think about the inflation, like this movie made bank in that day and age. And it's just, it feels so handcrafted because it is. Like they were in it. And
Yeah, I feel like they would have made more if they didn't have such incredible movies that year.
Oh, yeah.
In 92.
I mean, yeah.
A River Runs Through It. I think A Scent of a Woman was 92.
Oh, yeah, like Malcolm X, which was, like, Unforgiven was 91. Oh, Unforgiven was 92. Holy crap. So you have Unforgiven, which is like this Western that subverts the trends and is almost anti-violence. And then you get this beautiful... You know what I noticed? This is really random, but Less of the Mohicans watching it again. And then after watching Manhunter, where it's not the most violent movie, but you feel the implied violence. You never really see that much violence in it, but it's like a specter looming over you. Even though, like, they don't even show the violent acts on the TV. They show somebody watching the violent acts. And you feel like you get it just by watching somebody watch it. And Last of the Mohicans...
That's a good point.
It's like a movie about feeling. You know, when Promontory comes on at the end, and when the score kicks in 60 seconds in, and the scene, you know, no wonder it won for Best Sound. During that battle scene when the Huron attacked the British, there's no score. It's just musket shots and whacks of like...
And whoops.
Yeah, whoops and thuds. And
you know my favorite shot in the movie, I think, and it was so simple, it's when that group of soldiers first went into the woods. They left the clearing, and it was a far shot, and you see this sense of dread as they're going into this little hole in the woods. But it was an easy shot. It was just a group marching into the woods from a distance, and it wasn't violent, but it gave that feeling of dread, like this is not going to end well.
Oh, that makes me so happy that you say that. And you go back to his other movies like Manhunter, where there's a lot of these wide shots. It's just a shot of a dock, but you feel that dock. And I think, man, he showed his cinematography, Dante Spinotti, who actually worked on Manhunter as well. He had them look at a lot of landscape paintings, but specifically landscape paintings where there's a tiny house and then vast landscapes around it. So when you watch this movie, like you said, when they're going into there in the middle of nowhere, the wide shot of the British walking through the fields, the various like shots, that the bridge shot, like this things that make things seem small in this vast world. And so, they're not putting the camera sideways, they're not Dutch angling it, they're not using crazy techno cranes. I mean, even though they probably had some, but they knew how to shoot. And
the shot is over the shoulder with the Huron warriors looking into that little valley.
Yeah.
Just you kind of see over their shoulders in the wood line. That part was, I mean, can you imagine working on set? I mean, I'm sure those guys had a major rush getting ready for that scene.
Wes Studi said that he felt like he was about to go to war. He did. He said when he was up there and when other scenes, he was like, everybody, and the intensity in the air. Dude, you have Dale Dye training the extras to be like, he would make a call like, how you doing? They're like, we're good. Like extras were just yelling that out.
Well, yeah, he was Marine Corps. Yeah. He was probably Vietnam. He was Vietnam era Marine Corps.
Everybody in that world was just so primed to act. And that's what Michael Mann does, though. And like Russell Means was saying that as well. He had his fair share of complaints with the ADs and the way there, but he's like, this guy is... He's
but
like,
Russell Means is a tough customer. He's a tough customer, and he's still earned here in Russell Means respect. So that's saying something.
I want his book. Put him on Mount Rushmore.
We need to write Russell Means biography. That guy needs a Netflix series.
Yeah.
He was shot 3 times. There's multiple assassination attempts. He ran for president. The guy's got a fascinating background. I saw a New York Times article. If you want to read it, just Google Russell Means New York Times and you'll find it.
And Nader took him out, right, for the libertarian thing. Wasn't it Nader who did it? Who got above?
Was it him or Perot?
Oh, it might be Perot. You're right. But and I loved what he had to say about Daniel Day-Lewis, about how he became the character and he cared, and how he said that they were actually one of the first. Like, he was talking about Dan Sewell Wolves, Russell Means, and he called it like Lawrence of the Prairie, and he said that it's really misguided, but he said that Kevin Costner did a good job in at least raising awareness of like those films became popular again. He wanted he wanted the Native Americans to get work again. And at the end of this article I read of his, he's like, now let's go make our own movies. And I think in 92, man, this movie was really good for me because we didn't get taught.
No.
Like we learned about maybe Thanksgiving, right? Like no one,
Yeah,
no
that's
one
it.
told us anything. So we grew up
Or you might have seen something on TV that your parents were watching from the 60s.
just
I mean,
slaughtering Native,
yeah, on the frontier
yeah, just
out
John
west.
Wayne whizzing and banging all, knocking out people,
But this is, I mean, it's historical fiction, and I'm not
Yeah.
trying to say that we're taking historical fiction for actual education.
no, no.
However, I will say that this is the first time we kind of understood how complex the situation was, the alliances, the chaos, the confusion, this whole new area. I mean, it was a nuanced movie that kind of helped you understand the situation historically a little bit. I know it's historical fiction, but it did kind of provide some context.
Oh, absolutely. And I don't think that you and I necessarily took it as absolute fact. But I
Right.
do think that when you look at Magua, right, he wasn't the monosyllabic villain. His family was wiped out. Like he left and his family married somebody else and he just became this person.
His kids were killed.
Yeah, his kids were killed,
Yeah.
and they give him time. And what I like about Mann is he always said that he loves a villain. And so you have, I'm going to go back to this movie again, but you have Manhunter, you have Collateral, you have just
De
the
Niro
Heat.
and Heat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he loves the villain, but when in Heat, those guys have codes. And in Collateral, Tom Cruise is given a lot of time in this movie. And in Magua, like Russell Means said when Wes Studi wins his Oscar, like he should have been nominated because he's unbelievable in this movie.
I agree.
And
I agree.
but when I heard that speech, man, like I know there's still some complaints about this movie, but when you're 10 years old, growing up in like Hudson, Florida, you don't really get much education. So when you finally see a somewhat three-dimensional character, it really does pique your interest, man. Like
Yeah.
it
I remember I thought he was okay. I'm gonna do the really for the radio listeners out there. I'm
Mhm.
doing air quotes here. Like I thought he was the bad guy when I was 12 and watching this movie. Like because you're just young, you don't quite understand it. When I watch it as an adult, he's probably the most intriguing character of the movie. Him and Madeleine Stowe, I think, are the best actors because it's just he's so rife with pain and anger, but he did have a vision for the future. I mean, he wasn't just surviving; he was doing what he believed was the future for his people, and that story and that character was really heavy hitting. I really loved seeing his character
I mean,
in that movie again as an adult.
and to a certain extent, he wanted to be proactive. Like he saw the world because he was involved with the English, he was involved with the French. He
Yeah.
saw what was happening, and then Daniel Day-Lewis comes along and does the smolder, and it all just blows away. But yeah.
So that's funny you say that. So what I never realized before. So this is essentially a love story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's loss. It's a story about loss with your son with a bloodline. It's kind of a Western in the sense that it was the frontier technically.
That's as
It's
far
like
west as they went.
as they went. So I mean, I know a Western, you probably think of like the far Western United States, but in that sense, it's kind of similar. But at its core, this is a love story.
Yeah. I mean, and they're so good together, Madeleine Stowe. They don't have much time together because this is a very lean 2-hour movie, under that. But Madeleine Stowe, it took her a while to cast. And when they finally put the two of them together, they just connected because she does exude a strength in this
Dude,
movie.
she's strong.
Yeah. Like,
In the book, she was indignant too. Like she had this strong indignance to her. She was feisty, and she took care of her sister. And I'm glad they carried that over into the movie because I loved her performance.
oh man, it's so good. And they're being sassy to each other in the beginning, like, hey, why don't you bury these people? Blah blah blah. They both kind of carry in their preconceived notions about each other. But then at night when they're talking, she's like, oh my bad, my apologies. And then he's like, all right, well cool. Like they get each other in that scene. And then when they're at the fort and Promontory comes on, and then she sticks up for him, and when he says, I'll come back for you, I feel like that's an earned moment in that waterfall. So we're finally getting back to that. But I also like how they didn't ADR the dialogue underneath that waterfall. I feel like they're actually, it's not fake ADR dialogue. They're just yelling at each other. And the way
What's
he yells,
ADR?
so it's just dialogue after the fact. So you and I do a scene and a plane blows over our
Oh.
heads. So then you and I go into a sound booth and we're reading our lips going, oh yeah, that's what we're going to do. Oh yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Let's do that.
That
Let's
was
do
a
that.
set though. It was a set that they built.
The waterfall?
Yeah.
That was in Chimney Rock.
No.
I thought I read that they filmed that waterfall scene in Chimney Rock. Did they not?
Did they?
Yeah.
I
That's
think
a giant set.
behind the waterfall. I'm pretty sure that was a set. I could be wrong though.
Oh wow. I mean, Well, either way, I love the yelling, right? Because I did some research. I'm like, what's the waterfall? But there were multiple waterfalls, so maybe I missed that one. Sorry,
Yeah,
none
there's
of that
Triple
listeners.
Falls, Hooker Falls. There's Hickory Nut Falls at Chimney Rock too.
I tried to bring my A game on this. I should have researched more. But even so,
we're movie
though,
experts, not
yeah.
waterfall experts. Sorry.
Even so, though, it's just when he says there's no powder. She's like, go. He's like, stay strong, and you're like, she is gonna stay strong. And when he's like, I'm gonna come back for you, you're like, yeah, he is. You know, it's an earned moment. I think in a lot of movies.
Bold move.
Yeah. In a lot of movies, though, right? You're like, yeah, all right, but these two had it.
Look, can we map this out? Can we war game this?
Yeah.
So what are your options if you're stuck in a cave? The only option you have is to hide because you can't outrun the war party with, Alice and Cora. And you had a wounded guy with you. There's just no place you could go, so you have to hide. So you're in this waterfall. You're outnumbered. You don't have powder. You're not going to win a fight. But then you have to go against every core of your being to abandon the women and then counterattack.
Mm-hmm. It's a bold move.
It's logical. An emotion would tell you to stay and fight. Like that Duncan Hayward, the British officers, he was very brash. He was kind of like charge right in and fight. But it was an interesting, calculated move. Yeah. So you just maneuver out of the way and counterattack.
And listen, too, I mean, this isn't the 13th Warrior. They're not fighting their way out of this cave.
Yeah.
And this is a Michael Mann movie with Daniel Day-Lewis, even though I love 13th Warrior. But yeah, I mean, he knows Magwa's not going to kill him because that's valuable people. Like, you can sell them to the French. There's a lot of things you can do.
And he knew, too, that, like, I think he was going to take her for a wife.
Mm-hmm.
In the book, Magwa was going to take Cora for the wife. In the movie, it was Alice.
Oh, wow.
Random fact from the book, yeah.
So they swapped that around. Oh, poor Alice, man. Oh, man, that scene when Alice...
Remember the blood on Magwa's hands when he gestured for her to come to him?
Oh, gosh, yeah. And then he just doesn't... It's almost indifferent when she falls.
Remember the despair? You know what the hardest part of that? Yeah, the despair of knowing that you have to go and marry Magwa with blood on his hands after he killed this guy, your protector. I mean, the absolute... But... The thing that hurt most about the scene, we're jumping to the end again, and I think it was the race to the clock.
Yeah.
Because Daniel Day-Lewis and Chingachgook were right behind him. They just weren't fast enough, and they didn't get there in time.
Mm-mm.
But if she would have waited a minute, she would have been okay. That's what hurts the most. But I think that scene is what burned in my memory. Like, all right, so I watched this again. I don't think I watched this since high school. And the two things that were burned into my memory, I think, was that scene with Alice jumping and the scene with Uncas making his heroic charge on the side of the mountain. But those are the two things I remembered.
That's it for me, too. Was
it those two scenes?
Yeah, I forgot about a lot. But I mean, listen, between the music and the performances and that kind of visceral rock fight between them and just watching Uncas go off on the three Huron, just being overmatched against Magwa, and just the way the things clanked against each other and the sound mix, and where Chingachgook, when he yells, you don't hear it, but when Hawkeye yells, you hear it. When Cora screams, she screams, and just the blending of the music, the repetition of the Irish music that they found, and then blending in the rest of the score, so you have this repetition going. You just get
the emotions, the emotions from the entire movie was in that 10-minute stretch where they didn't talk at all.
And Dante Spinotti really earned his money on this because, that fight between Uncas when they just see his feet, and then the squishy noise when he gets stabbed, that you feel into them. And then when he
turned the knife on that one, on the audience, the pain that you feel.
And then just drops him off the cliff, and then watching the way that Jodie May is framed, the center, the center framing, watching her look back and forth, and Magwa's kind of indifferent towards it. When she falls, man, what a...
Yeah, I hope we're not depressing the listeners here.
Yeah, but this is what I'm telling you, man. This is what Michael Mann does. I'm just gonna keep saying it, but in Manhunter, you feel the violence, but you don't see the violence. In Heat, you just feel the capability of everybody involved. In Collateral, the tension is just so palpable. You just have this devil in your back seat of your taxi cab. You just have this hunter. And so there's this mood that hangs over it, and he's just a master of creating mood. Like Miami Vice, I think, has a really cool vibe to it as well, the movie. And it's just watching this one with the emotions, and you just feel so hard on this. And when she falls,
You know what gets me?
what?
You know what gets me is the what he does without words. The gunfight in Heat was just their footsteps and the gunfire and the sound of it hitting the cars. And then Collateral, it was the scene in the club.
Yeah.
Where there's no talking. There's just music. And then the scene where there's no talking for at least 10 minutes at the end of Last Mohicans, just 3 examples right there. That's what really pulls you into a movie.
He just knows how to bring emotions from you, and he knows how to make a scene. And yeah, no, I just absolutely, it was fun going back and re-exploring this movie, because this is easily his most sort of, what's the word, epic, sweeping epic, because he has The Insider, right? He has Ollie, he has these movies that get everyone Oscar nominated, but this one was more of a just epic, romantic, historical epic.
It's this recreation over a American classic. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of the book, mainly because it was written in 1830. It's one of the originals. But I'm sure it was kind of groundbreaking for the frontier and, understanding, or learning or listening to these frontier stories. But where was I going? But to pull a love scene out of a book where there wasn't really a love scene is just amazing to me. They're like, he's probably like, I like the structure of the book, but we're going to turn this into a love story. It's fascinating to me, like whoever wrote this. And he
did too. And he said that the book was a gross oversimplification of the times back then.
Yeah, it was.
But I mean then Michael Mann, and he brought in historians for this. He brought in, he talked to the Smithsonian to talk about the Huron aesthetic. So I mean, I know Russell Means said the outfits were kind of small, and Michael Mann's like, I don't care. In the village scene, Russell Means hated, but he's like, oh, we just need it. So I think there was some finger wagging on this, but
there was empathy.
Yeah,
it's just made with empathy.
And he was talking about the fur trade, about how the Mohicans and the Huron, and they knew how to work the French and English. They knew they have the trade. They worked together in this. And so that's why I keep saying, watching this when we were younger, we just hadn't seen this. And I don't know.
It was all really, so new. It was also new to us.
It's crazy when movies, even as stereotypical as they are, taught me more about it than school ever did. I think the biggest thing that opened my eye was watching Smoke Signals, Sherman Alexie's Smoke Signals. That movie just blew me away. And then I went and started reading more Sherman Alexie. And he's talking about how on a bus ride one time, some lady was telling him about how old these buildings were. She's like, they're 150 years old. And Sherman Alexie's just like, ugh. My people were here thousands of years ago. But yeah,
I watched Alaskan Nets, by the way, on your recommendation.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that. It was about this high school basketball team in small town Alaska that has to travel a couple days at a time to just play a game. So it was a good watch.
Heck yeah. And
liked it.
And remember that New York Times article too, the basketball article? I love that article. But I don't want people thinking I'm ignorant towards Native American culture. I'm just going back to when I was 10 years old and how we sort of grew up and how this movie really hit me differently than most things I had watched.
No, you're being honest, because we didn't have the education or the experience or association.
Oh man, but also too, man, this movie's just part of my language, but it's kind of badass. Watching Uncas, the 3 of them working together, and when that battle happens, they're just running through, knocking people out. And
that was a lot of running. That was a lot of running.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think Tom Cruise would be jealous that he wasn't in this?
Man, I think he'd be happy. When Daniel Day-Lewis says, I knew I'd be in this forest for 6 months, and he regretted it. This is a guy who puts everything into a character. This is a guy who was, my left foot. I think Tom Cruise is like, I missed something here. But I would not want to see Tom Cruise as Hawkeye. Great runner. Please no. Please.
All right. Speaking of casting, I know you just watched all the Chris Pine, Chris Hemsworth, Pratt, and Evans movies for a feature. Which Chris would you cast as the role of Hawkeye?
Well, okay. So let's talk about Daniel Day-Lewis in this era. Long hair, incredibly athletic. When he runs, you believe it. When he fights, you believe it. When he shoots, you believe it. Even the people who trained him said by the last day of shooting, he could nail bullseyes every time. So when you think about that, also when you think about being a romantic lead, when you sort of think about the smolder, I keep bringing that up. Pratt can't do that, I don't think. As much as I like Evans, he's not the smolder guy either. So that leaves us with Hemsworth.
Chris Evans would be the British general more, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and so that leaves Hemsworth and Pine, but it's just got to go to Pine because he could fit out there. He's such a chameleon.
He can play dirty.
Yeah.
I think of Hell or High Water, and I visualize him, and I could see him doing this role.
This quiet. I mean, in Hell or High Water, he's incredibly. What's the word? He's incredibly competent, and he pulls off the scheme that he wants. And so watching that, and then see him pulling that off, he could do it. But I mean, the cast, the nailing of Daniel Day-Lewis in this movie, like he adds so much to it, and I think Russell means a lot more to the movie as well. Like
he brought street cred.
Exactly.
I mean, if you were like, oh, you got because he was well known across the nations in the U.S. So you say you got Russell Means, and people are going to listen.
Absolutely, and you're right. It does give the movie street cred. This isn't just, and I think it's kind of crazy that this movie just made sure, like, listen, we need to cast from all around the country and bring them in to give this movie authenticity. They didn't lodge him well, but I mean.
And Uncas, his name is Erik something, but he's from
Canadian.
Canada.
Yeah, Canadian. Yeah, and he was also remember he was in Tom and Huck, and I was excited. He was in that Jonathan Taylor Thomas movie, and I was like, yes, he's in it. Like I was so happy.
Was it a good role?
No, he was a bad guy. But
okay.
I was so happy that someone from Last of the Mohicans was in
really?
it. Yeah. So
nice.
Yeah, I think I saw Tom and Huck because I knew he was in that movie. I was like, oh yeah, like Last of the Mohicans, like he's in this, like so it kind of like, and then Wes Studi, man, whenever we saw him in other movies, I was like,
Heat.
Yeah,
well, he was in Heat.
Yeah, Michael Mann just crushing it, and just whenever I saw him in another film, like I was like, heck yeah, like when he was in, I was excited for him to be in, what was it, Street Fighter, Jean-Claude Van Damme's Street Fighter.
Right.
Like he's funny in that one, and just this whole cast, man. Just and what's interesting? We're talking about this movie. What I like is we talk about Uncas, we talk about Korra, we talk about Chingachgook, we talk about Uncas and Magua. Like I think it's in Duncan. We don't talk about it as
Daniel Day-Lewis movie.
Yeah, Chris Evans is great in this movie. We talk about the characters in this movie, and I think that's one of the and I've said this before too, where when I talk about Collateral. I got to pull up their names because I'm drawing a blank, but I talk about, I don't say Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx. I'm like Vincent and Max. Those are their characters.
This was an ensemble movie.
Yeah.
It wasn't Daniel Day-Lewis hogging the screen.
No, and I don't think he wanted that, right? I think
way better this way.
Yeah.
Way better.
And
because you don't get sick of him either. He's just paying respect to everyone else, all these other great actors in this film.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? And when she the scenes are so mature too. When she comes up to him at night, and she's like, "Oh, my bad," but then he's kind of bratty, like, "My dad told me about you," and she's like, "What does that mean?" And then they kind of shush each other, and then the Huron come up, and then they realize it's a burial ground, and then they go away, and she's like, "Oh," and then they just they don't become buds per se, but they develop a very mature relationship, and then you can tell why Uncas loves
near-death experiences will.
Yeah, exactly.
do that too. Well, he kind of admired her from afar, though.
Yeah, like the scenes of him smoldering and watching her, and then he wants to protect her. He becomes that protector, and then I feel like everything's just earned when Chingachgook starts crying, and when he lays it on Magua at the end, just destroys his body, and then you have that wide shot of the two of them looking at each other. It's.
Yeah, when they looked at each other, and it was just this look of like, how did we get here?
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is not necessary. We should not be doing this.
No,
that was
sad.
the look that it is. It's not. You don't feel good about a win or a loss. It's just this should not be happening.
Everybody lost in that situation.
Yeah, you're right. So I've asked you a couple questions about Chris and other areas. So I'm going to get into my questions for Mark series on the podcast, each episode. One part struck me. So at the beginning of the film, right after they introduced the British officer, Duncan, he's having a meal or tea out with Korra in this middle of this field. It looks romantic as you're looking at, you're approaching. It looks like they're on a date, but then they get talking and she tells him that he's just a friend.
Oh man.
She doesn't have feelings for him. And here you are on the frontier. The woman you love tells you that you're just a friend, and all your aspirations for the future are just dashed right then and there. What are some other painful just a friend moments in film? Like she actually told him, "I'm sorry, my feelings don't go beyond friendship." I mean, that's as clear cut as you can get of friend zone material.
Okay, so I don't know about painful, but I just had to rewatch Jurassic World, and there's that scene at the end when Jake Johnson goes up to, I forget her name, but he goes, "Hey, do you want to go on a date?" She's like, "I have a boyfriend." He's like, "Oh." She's like, "Yeah, like, but this is fun. I'll see you later." But he's supposed to be this heroic moment for him, and then Lauren Lapkus is like, "No, I'm with somebody else." He's like, "Oh," like it's very uncomfortable. But no, other breakup.
That was a good.
Yeah.
Just friends with
Oh my
Ryan
gosh.
Reynolds.
Yeah, which we talked about. Just, oh
Jamie
man.
Palomino and Chris. What was it? Jamie Palomino.
Yeah, Jamie Palomino, and you say that name, the full name every time you talk about it. Jamie Palomino.
Yeah. All the characters, first and last name.
But yeah, I mean that one I would say. I wish I had more for you, but that Jurassic World one is the first one that comes to mind because I just love the way it's played. That's probably one of my favorite parts. Jake Johnson's probably my favorite part of that movie, and the Mosasaurus. But that's the first one I thought about. That was just the poor dude gets obliterated in front of a bunch of people, in front of Vincent D'Onofrio. That seems terrible.
Oh yeah, just a friend moment.
Yeah.
All right, I got another one. Did Marvel rip off The Last of the Mohicans with the Hawkeye reference? Daniel Day-Lewis's character was Hawkeye, and he was a sharpshooter. In the book, they called him La Longa Carabine, or the long rifle, because he was essentially a sniper on the frontier.
Oh, so yeah, in the book he was Hawkeye.
Yeah. And in they said a Hawkeye mention in the movie too. And remember how he said, "I'm the long carabine, take me, I'm the trophy."
Oh.
He's known as a sniper on the frontier.
Because I mean, the book is what 1800s. So I looked it up and nothing ever came up as far as stealing the name. But I mean, Hawkeye, like the dude's a Hawkeye.
He's a sharpshooter.
Yeah. And then you also have Hawkeye. I mean, it's got to be, right? Like, all right, let's see. Hawkeye
I would
comics.
think so.
Hawkeye
Book this famous?
Comics introduction. Hawkeye
Origin.
comic. Let's see. Hawkeye. Oh, the Encyclopedia Britannica. So he popped up in 1964. He was an orphan. Oh, brother.
Oh, just like
Yeah.
Hawkeye. The other Hawkeye.
But then, like, I guess he got a serum. So it's got to be. Yeah. I mean, like, that an orphan who is great with... Stanley was thinking about it. Don Hex was thinking about it.
Even if they weren't thinking about it, it was in their psyche.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes stuff is buried so deep in there and you just pull. So yeah, I'm saying yes.
Okay. Next question. I'm going back to the British officer Duncan. The guy was a badass. I will say he stood his ground. He fought. He was brash. He wasn't a very strategic thinker. He was all about the crown. So I will say he was chivalrous in the sense that he was a protector. He was a fighter, but he also had a really punchable face. Man made him really dislikable. Was how he turned on them. He lied to the general.
Yeah.
A lot of the things he said. So, but then at the end, he had this great arc, this heroic arc where he turned around and had that redemption where he offered himself because he knew that she had a better job. She had a better chance surviving with Hawkeye than with him. So that's what he made his decision on. And then, of course, we know like he got put out of his misery so he wouldn't suffer. But he had a great arc. I mean, any other movies come to mind with actors that were kind of annoying, but then at the end, just complete redemption? I mean, it's almost any horror movie ever made, right? Where you dislike the person and they have this arc. There's got to be like a lot out there.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I like about his character is he exemplified hubris to a comical effect. And, the British were
over the top.
I mean, the British had that mentality. I mean, look at the ways they tried to fight, the ways that they didn't adapt to the landscape. They weren't going to do guerrilla warfare.
Just stand there and fire.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to volley at you. We're going to use organization. We're going to drive our soldiers into the ground.
Yeah, he was a product of the times.
And so just watching him sort of, even at the waterfall, he's being a brat. But then at the battle, when I don't know, I think then he turns himself in and gets burnt. And Yeah, because he got friend zoned. He got friend zoned big. You know that Hawkeye. It just
Friend zoned big.
Has the smolder more than him. He realizes he's not the alpha.
He sees the love story unfolding right in front of him, and he can't do anything about it.
Brother. But I think he read the room at the end. Like, I think masked underneath all that but look how he was raised, dude. Like, rich, we are the best. We take over these places. Like, the French don't know how to fight. You think? Oh, remember they're like, oh, those Frenchies, they don't even have the fight in them. It's like, well,
they'd rather make love to their face, stuff their faces, and stare at themselves in the mirror. And he said something funny like that.
But guys, the French have had some pretty great generals and leaders in their day. They know how to fight, and it's I just really dig that, and that was a very memorable part for me when he said, take me, and then he gets shot, and then Cora crying. It's a powerful moment. And when I think about characters, I know this is a bit of a cheat, but I immediately thought of Steve Harrington from Stranger Things. So he was, yeah, I mean, in the beginning he was that kind of brat. He was that guy, that high schooler, but then he sort of became a parent to all of the kids. And so just watching that made me really happy. Like, I love his run in Stranger Things. And then as far as movies go,
you know what I thought about? I thought about The Island with Leonardo DiCaprio, about they were stuck on this island and he stole the other guy's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine being on an island and your girlfriend leaves you to another guy on the island?
That's like, hey, we met you on our way here, and then, oh man, yeah, that's
what I kind of thought about. Like, that's probably the same feeling that he had.
And like, look at how many, most comedies are about redemption. Bill Murray and Scrooge, Ebenezer Scrooge. You get, I mean, even Vader. I mean, Vader had a great redemption.
Step Brothers.
Yeah, Step Brothers, Liar, Liar. Remember Jim Carrey was a total turd. It's even the guy in District 9 who kind of started off as a kind of government stooge, and then he ends up making himself better. He kind of realizes the situation, which I dig.
Oh, that's a good reference.
Like Rick Blaine and like Casablanca, right? Like, Rick's kind of mad that she's there of all the Jindoids in all the world, and then at the end he helps her out, even though she's with somebody else. Like, he goes against what he wants. So yeah, I think those are pretty good right there. I like those ones right there. That makes me happy.
Nice pick. 2 more questions. I couldn't stop thinking about the similarities with the Twilight Saga. My wife loves it and I hate it. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to keep it positive here. It's not for me. I don't, I'm not the target demographic for that movie. But I think you have a mysterious male love interest. You're in his element. He protects you. The world is on fire. You're in the forest. And it's an extremely intense love story. I mean, he was jailed. There was near-death experiences. There was so many connections between the two of them. It felt a lot like Twilight. There's a lot of those same emotions. So which one do you think is more intense? The Twilight Saga love story or the last Mohicans? But I'm talking on an intensity scale.
It's got to be Last of the Mohicans, because it was palpable on screen. I mean, there's that photo of the two of them sort of cuddling, Madeleine Stowe, and like that one is, you just look at it and you're like, whoa.
Well, that was in the firelight too.
Yeah, it was
beautifully
lit, well shot inside a real fort made from 40 acres of land. But it's in Twilight, which I'm actually a big fan of those movies because they were sort of critic-proof blockbusters. I think we need those occasionally, where these movies that just are not totally well made, but they just crush at the box office.
They resonate. They resonate. Something.
And you know what? Like, sometimes the world needs that. Sometimes the world needs to understand that. But them in those movies, it's very, what's the word? It's more emo. Like, and they're high schoolers. Like, these two were adults in Last of the Mohicans. So they, these are two adults who just have that connection. These are just two kids in the Twilight movie. And they're just like, oh, he's the love of my life. He's like, I love her, but I can't. She's like, but I love you, but I can't.
Oh, it's more of the longing.
Yeah,
you're right. It's a longing versus the practical, someone actually falling in love. Okay.
If we begin smooching, I might go crazy and rip your head off. If you hang out with me and you cut yourself, one of my cousins might eat you. It's just.
What? They said that in the movie?
Well, he lives with those people, the vampires.
Oh,
and she gets cut one time, and this guy's like, oh yeah, and like dives at her, and and Robert Pattinson has to whack him away. But it's more of this longing, I think. It's more of this sort of unrequited thing. And then he leaves because he can't be with her. Then she hooks up with Jacob, and then there's a triangle. Like I think it's more will they won't they longing emo type stuff. Like YA. This is just adult. Does that make, like, this is just
No, it's great. It's a great
passion.
answer. It's a silly question, but I couldn't help but think about the similarities between the two.
I mean, listen, like, just that unbridled, like, I think that too, like, that was just sort of this, like, weird unbridled love, whereas I think Last of the Mohicans are like, we're equals, we're cool.
They're both strong characters.
Yeah. Duncan who?
Yeah. Duncan. We're Duncan.
Duncan on Duncan.
God. All right, my next question here is, and the other thing that burned in my memory, I mentioned before about Uncas's historic charge or Alice jumping over the side, but Chingachgook's weapon, the axe that he had. So that to me was so memorable.
Yeah.
And it was such a badass thing to have. It's just the power of having an interesting weapon that no one else has and something that's so violently used. I mean, signature weapons, you think of Han Solo and his blaster, or someone with the Hobbit.
Ash and Evil Dead, like with his chainsaw.
Your chainsaw. Having a signature weapon that's an extension of your personality is a really powerful thing, because you can't give him any weapon.
Mm-mm.
You got to have something signature. So I want to hear your thoughts about writing and what a signature weapon or tool adds to a movie.
I think you just got to understand the characters. So Hawkeye's younger, so then he uses more of the rifles. You know, Uncas he knows how to use the rifles, but he also has his knives. Magua has his axe, guns, and he also has his knife. Like, he's a knife guy. And so I think Magua's real close quartered. He is just violent. He'll rip out your heart. I think Chingachgook's is just, oh man, I think it's just practical, and it's violent, and it's,
you earn it. You got to earn that weapon.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got to know when he rolls, he hits him in the leg, then he finally rams him right through at the end. He knows how to spin with it. He knows where to hit him. He knows the blunt edges, and it also can block. So I think it's one of those where you just sort of, it's so unique in that world. I mean, you don't see another one. And I think it's big and unwieldy too. I mean, battle
it's not
axe,
practical. It's
no,
not necessarily. If you're running around the forest, that's not a practical weapon.
Well, you look at nunchucks and you're like, how do you use those? But some people could rip me. Bruce Lee would destroy me with those. So he would take my head off. And so I think it's one of those weapons that you need to master. And I think that comes with age. And I think it allows him to sort of make up for some of his, like, he's not going to knife fight. He probably doesn't have the speed anymore. So he does need guile. And I think that weapon affords that to him. Like, look at Anton Chigurh from No Country for Old Men. He has that bolt gun for the cows. That's all about intimidation and, like, getting close. Like, that makes him, like, so much, like, scarier, if that makes sense. So I think, yeah, you just need to have something that matches each character. And you know, Darth Maul had that double-sided lightsaber. That's just, I don't even know how practical it is, but it looks awesome. Like,
You're right. That's the perfect example.
And you know, when Scarface goes off, he has that rocket launcher gun. Like, nothing he does is subtle. Indiana
Darth
Jones is
Maul lightsaber.
because he's an acrobat, and so he's able to spin it. He's like, you know, it spins around just like his kicks do. Like, it becomes one with him. So I think that is sort of capturing the character. And Indiana Jones' whip, he can kind of keep distance because he's not a fist fighter. I mean, he's a fist fighter, of course, but I think that allows him to kind of keep a distance, and he can use it when he's swinging, and it's more of a practicality, I think. So yeah, his weapon is definitely representative of him.
Great answer. All right, last question.
And look at the mace. Remember remember
Go-Go
in Kill Bill? She had the mace.
Yep.
Like that. In 1340,
even the main character in Kill Bill with the katana
that you knew about. And remember 13th Warrior and Antonio Banderas cuts down the sword and everyone's laughing at him. And,
yes.
But that's his weapon. He knows how to use it. Morgan Freeman's blade and Robin Hood Prince of Thieves, like that's
Lord of the Rings, Gimli and the axe, the bow and the arrow.
Mm-hmm. So I think, yeah, you sort of give people different weapons, and because it would just be boring if it's all the same.
You're right. It's another way to show the character and their personality.
Like, look at Desperado when Danny Trejo was the throwing knife guy. You're going, wow, this is amazing. It's like I haven't seen this before, but that matches his character. Like,
Remember the Raid 2 with the axes?
The axes, the baseball bat,
Oh,
the hammers.
Casey Jones from Ninja Turtles, the hockey stick.
Listen, I'm telling you right now, the 5 best action movies since 2010 for me are The Raid, The Raid 2, The Night Comes for Us, 13 Assassins, and probably Mad Max Fury Road. Those are my 5 favorite. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Just putting that out there since we're talking about an action movie.
Hard to beat those, man. It's
Yeah.
hard to beat that lineup. So one more question for you. I was thinking about this, and I felt like during night shots, the movies kind of bogged down for me. I don't know what it is. It's not just this movie, but any movies where if there's an extended period at night, I tend to just, it kind of drags me down. I'm going to use a random example, like Toy Story 4. The whole thing was at night with the carnival and at the shop. And it made it so uninteresting for me. It made me tired. And I think it was like, why am I watching this stupid show? Everything's at night. So that's just me personally in my taste. So I felt like they spent too much time with the night shots at the fort. But I mean, if you're going to build a giant fort, you might as well use it for a big part of the movie. But I think something I would have liked more is more of the cinematography during the day to keep me more engaged in the movie. So that's one thing I think that I would have liked to see more. So if you could change one thing about the movie, what would it be?
I mean, the one thing I do like is I think a big sweeping day shot would have been great, but the night hides a lot. So you have all those extras, you have all the gear, you have all the cables. So I think they probably shot at night to avoid a lot of money. Like they probably saved a lot of money by shooting at night. So you don't have all the daytime. You don't see the extras as clearly. You don't see the explosions look better at night. It looks more visceral at night, if that makes sense.
That was one of my favorite shots of the entire movie was when they were looking at a distance, they just saw the night sky light up.
So I think that's probably an idea. And you just save, it's probably, when you do VFX too, it's cheaper just doing it at night. It's murkier. It doesn't have to be as clear. You can kind of hide it a little bit more than a daytime full assault. So
yeah, you don't have to worry about jet contrails in the sky or anything.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be a nightmare. But yeah, if I had to change anything about this movie, man, listen, it's under 2 hours, but maybe a little more Magua.
Yeah,
just a little bit. I mean,
more of his backstory.
The love story plays, which is just fine, but just more of him navigating. I would like to see more of him maybe navigating that world, being the equal. And just sort of maybe being more of like an Iago type character, just setting people up here and there, letting the chess pieces
what do you mean,
fall.
Iago? What do you mean?
Iago he's the villain of Othello, is he not?
Ah.
Yeah, isn't he? Yeah, he's the one who sets up. Yeah, Iago. He's the one who kind of sets up Othello to fail.
Okay,
like he works behind the scenes. Or Loki, he Lokis it. But
I see you.
But like just watching, yeah, I think that. But yeah, I mean, I could do with 10 more minutes of this movie. This is a movie. Some of these movies I feel like are 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and you're like, why?
Well, I think it was long for 1992.
Yeah, I mean, Schindler's List was 3 hours, but
Forrest Gump was over 2.
Yeah, I just don't. If I could change anything. Well, you know what? Russell Means says he doesn't like that scene where he goes and talks to the chief. He hates that scene. So you know what? Find another way to deal with that. Find a more modern approach, a more less stereotypical approach. Make Russell Means happy. That's my suggestion.
The tension in that scene was pretty palpable, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it was. I see what you're saying, but it may not have been accurate, but it was effective. Just throwing that out there.
No, you're right. And I also too don't know who those injured guys are in them in the canoes. Like, who are these? Yeah. Every time I watch them, like, who are these?
There's this one random extra that just hopped in the canoe and went into the cave with them, and you have no idea what happened to the guy.
Like, don't get me wrong, I would love to be that extra. You're like, this is a red shirt. Like, I don't know why this person's here, and it does stick out. And it does take me out of the movie a little bit when you see it. And then I know he's kind of sitting in the middle of the canoe, but his rowing form is terrible. Just putting it out there.
The guy was shot. He got a gut shot, man. Yeah, he can't use his core.
Yeah, he's doing the best he can. But come on, man. Like, you're being chased. Get out of there.
Dig deep, man. You're slowing him down.
Yeah. Actually, I would have loved it. You know what? Just change the whole ending. Let Uncas live. Let him and Alice go off happily skipping down they're just holding hands.
Turn it to a happy ending.
Yeah, and then just, you're the one that I want. And then they just skip down the mountain together.
Okay, I hear you. That would have been a fan favorite. They should have had an alternate ending, like
Yeah.
Run Lola Run, where there's 3 different ways this movie can end.
Yeah, exactly. But at the ending of it, not the entire movie.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's just have them skipping down the mountain. Then 5 years later, he's president.
What was that night movie where they told the story from 3 different perspectives?
The Night movie where they told them
With Matt Damon.
Night
Is
movie.
they're
Oh,
French
dude, The Last
knights.
Duel. That movie's.
No, how cool would it have been if they told it from Magwa's perspective and then they told it from Daniel Day-Lewis' perspective?
Oh my gosh, make it. And then Cora's perspective.
Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah.
Like the differences that they could look at this situation depending on what side you're on and how you're affected and what emotional connections you have.
Like, let me tell you, like, I understand why Magua wants to murder everybody. Like, I do.
Yeah.
Like, and I love the beginning when he's introduced because the way they lit that scene in the beginning when Duncan shows up to that fort.
The natural light coming in from the side.
Absolutely. And what I love is Michael Mann's not messing around with artificial light. Sometimes you watch a movie and it's like 7 o'clock, but the light is coming in parallel. And it's not even like color, like it's just fluorescent light bombing in with the ground and
The backlighting.
Yeah, it's just you're just like, this is not natural.
Remember on Heat when Pacino and the police officers were staking out the one area and De Niro stepped into the shadow?
Oh yeah, that was so good.
And they could see him on the night vision, but he had stepped into the shadow just so no one can see them.
Oh man, what a scene.
But then
And
you
he's
had
like,
Magua in the shadow stepping out.
You're walking out and let's say it's noon and the light's coming in parallel. You're like, what is happening? But it's the way that he came out of the shadows and the way that he's talking and it's
There's something
just
about shadows that are creepy because someone's hiding in plain daylight almost.
Mm-hmm. And
that's the scary part.
And that's the way he does. And I love how he comes out of the shadows. And it's a really great character introduction. Yeah, that'd be a cool movie with the 3 of those. And then the guy in the canoe who gets gut-shotted, he should be the 4th. Tell the movie from 4 perspectives.
It's funny because that guy totally distracted me.
Yeah, right? Like I think sometimes the worst thing you can do in a movie is make somebody go, wait, what? Like, why is that? Wait, huh? And then that takes you out for a little bit. And that guy always takes me out of the movie.
And in the shot, you had the brown canoe or kayak, and then you had how they were dressed, and then the bright red. So it was immediate distraction.
Quick, get Larry into the thing. It's like, should we know Larry?
Who made that call to throw some random British soldier into a canoe?
Maybe that was like the producer's kid.
Oh, there may have been a connection.
Hey, you want 40 acres torn down? Like the governor's kid.
How much tourism did that generate for North Carolina, though?
I mean, we were all about it. Like, we definitely were.
We reenacted it.
Yeah. On
the side of Chimney Rocks.
Yeah.
If you Google Last Mohicans North Carolina sites, it's still out there. A lot of blogs.
It's just a cool movie in '92 because it still brought the violence, man. You can watch this movie on many levels. You can watch like Starship Troopers. We talked about that in our Starship Troopers. You could watch this movie as an action film, and there's action in it. Like, there's some good battles in it, and I
did a quadrant for Starship Troopers.
Yeah.
Do you watch it as like a hoorah, get out there and fight? Do you watch it in terms of the fascism on display?
Yep.
Or do you look at it just a science fiction movie? You can look at this from multiple angles too. That's a great point.
Starship Troopers, your lizard brain could love it, but then also your analytical brain could love it.
Lizard brain.
Just violence. But watching Magua and the villain that you have there, and also having Duncan being a brat, and you know what, like too, it's the French general knows that Magua's going to do what he's going to do, and then you have.
Can we talk about that real quick?
He knows.
But you remember that scene in the woods where he kind of tacitly gave him approval to attack that formation? But you know how the French general, he did it so well where he looked at him, he looked down, and then gave a slight look up to signal it without saying it.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great act. That guy was a great actor. The way that French general did his little movements with the hats and the compliments, that guy was good.
And then good old Edward Munro just blows him off. Like he's like, let's get over this artifice. And then he won't let the soldiers go. He won't let the colonial soldiers go. And it's the militia take off and just watching them. And it was just refreshing where on every single side there were horrible people, but I'm sure on every side there were good people. Like look
true.
at, like, you know, when you show up to that village of the Hurons, there's women and children. They're peaceful, like they're living their lives. And that's what I kind of like about this movie is there's no one villain. I think it's the British and their hubris, the French willingly giving orders to slaughter an army. You have Magua and his Hurons. Even they're kind of like, you know, you're no Huron, like you're still kind of a Mohican, but just watching the three-dimensional characters and not placing blame on one sole person was pretty cool. Like, you know, the British general wasn't even going to come out to help. Webb wasn't even going to come out to help Monroe.
He's stranded.
Yeah, you're stuck. You're
He's
done.
on his own.
And I just kind of dig that about it. And also too, I like that Uncas went off on his own. Like, love makes you do crazy things. Put his hand on his dad's shoulder and he's like, I'm out. I'm saving this girl.
Yeah, because there was no sound. There's no talking. And he just gave him the signal what he was doing.
Dad knew.
Yeah.
And he could have waited, probably. The three of them could have steamrolled people. But that's the way it played out, and it created that emotion. And
his fight or flight kicked in, though. His fight or flight kicked in, and he just went off.
Gotta go. Guts to go. So he takes off, and just... Yeah, what a fight scene, too. Oh, man. But yeah.
So this movie won the fight scene, I think largely they won an Academy Award for sound. Mm-hmm. Strangely, I checked the Academy Awards and this is the only one it won. I think it was the only one it was actually nominated for, too, which I'm kind of scratching my head over now. But why did it win? Why was the sound so good? Maybe you can explain about the muskets and the forest and how they were able to capture all those sounds. I mean, how they did the sound and heat was fascinating with the reverberation of the buildings. But how did they get the musket sounds and the cannon sounds so realistic?
I mean, they were there. They got the real things. They had the sound out there. They probably, you know, when you watch that movie, he's firing those cannons. When those cannons came off, Dale Dye said he remembered seeing those cannons, and they were loading it. Like
with basketballs. They were shooting basketballs.
Obviously, they weren't shooting, you know, mortars.
Yeah.
It's like, Michael Mann, come on, brother. But yeah, this
probably would have. No.
You know, it is probably a common. And heat, you know, they set up microphones all over the place to pick up the gunfire to make it hit that much harder. So with this, between the cannons, and then he also knows when to cut the score too. Like, I want this thud to the head to be the important part, not the score. I want these muskets. I want these screams. And so when that big battle happens at the end, when they are leaving the fort, there's no score. And then the score kicks up later on. And then I think he knows when to, like when they're in the waterfall, when they're just yelling at each other's. And then when the score kicks in, the repetition of it. And then when it builds to that, so it brings back this familiarity, because the score kicks in at 60 seconds too when they're hunting the deer. So then maybe in your brain you're thinking to yourself, oh, this score is back, and it's a chase scene. It's another chase scene led by the same score. The musket fire, you know, they had to have had. And also too, at night you could probably hide mics a little bit better. You could capture those sounds. And also too, they're in the middle of nowhere. So they probably could fire for as long as they wanted. They could make the biggest booms that they wanted.
Right.
And it was a right to work state too. Like Russell Mean said, like Georgia is, so you don't really have too many unions fighting for these people. So you're probably blowing up some serious stuff. And
you bring up some good points. I think the only soundtrack that has almost equaled it, I don't know, the only one of the few, I should say, is the Two Towers Battle for Helm's Deep with the violins and orchestral.
And you know that's crazy, man? That's from Requiem for a Dream. Like, he repurposed
it was adapted.
That. But it still hits hard because.
But that's the fiddle.
Yeah.
But like, fiddle playing.
It's wonderful. Like, I love that score. I mean, I think I bought that. Like, it creates. I think it's just that repetition, and when it comes in and it hits, and it's earned when it plays it, and it plays for so long too. And yeah, I mean, that's also a night fight scene that they shot in the rain. It's just nothing. Peter Jackson, you're crazy. Those movies work too. But yeah, what's the name of that song? The Two Towers score. Two Towers song during battle.
If I were to make a movie, I would just have, speaking of Irish music, I just have Snow Patrol. They're hypnotic.
Just chasing cars.
Yeah.
No, wait. No. Run.
A Run.
Yeah. Run is one's like one of my favorite songs. I love that one. But no, you're absolutely right. You know what's funny, when you said that one thing that made me think about it was Two Towers. You know, that's one of the few movies that just made me cry. I remember watching that movie just feeling like I am watching something right now. But I think Last of the Mohicans handles it a little better just because of how long it is and how the repetition builds and how it chooses what to have you hear. When Korra yells, when Hawkeye yells, the sound of the knife going into Uncas. Like, it's the focus on what's important.
There's way less violence in The Last of the Mohicans.
Yeah, absolutely.
Way less.
But
it's more acute.
The violence matters in Last of the Mohicans too. It's not played for, hey, I killed 17 monsters. Like, I played this. Like, I feel like most deaths in this movie is felt as either unnecessary, as violent, as so I think it also treats. I mean, it's a violent movie, but I think it also, even when they kill the deer, they're like, hey, thank you. Like, we appreciate you, and like we thank you for this. So I think death is not treated lightly at all in this movie. And so when that knife, when they crank up the sound mixing for the knife going into Uncas, and you hear it, and when the sword, when the axes clank, and when the knives hit, you feel it. And so, yeah, when she cries, Korra cries when she sees her sister on the ground. Like, I think it's just knowing how to control it, knowing how to create the sound, and I don't know exactly how they captured it on set, because there's not a huge breakdown like there is on Heat, but it's all practical, man. Like, it's all you know, it's kind of funny. This is really random, but speaking of Peter Jackson, he did a documentary called They Shall Not Grow Old, and he found old World War I footage, and then what he did was he colored it, and then he found out what regiment it was. Then he had people from those areas with that dialect lip read, and then recreate their dialogue. But to recreate the cannon sounds, he went to the New Zealand Army when they were doing training sessions, and filmed them recorded them shooting off mortars. And he had people walking in mud to recreate the sounds and do all the Foley work, which is pretty unbelievable. So Mann and Peter Jackson, two maniacs, understand how to get that noise and make things better, for sure.
Yeah, I really enjoyed revisiting this movie. And because the amount that we've talked about just the ending of the movie, I mean, there's so much to digest and unpack, and the connection to our childhoods and watching this movie. So I'm really glad we had a chance to revisit this and really dissect how powerful of an ending that movie really has.
Yeah, dude, I'm really happy we did this, and this movie was in '92. This movie was awesome. It really was, and I'm just really. Yeah, I'm glad you brought this. I've been going through all the Mann movies. Our cousin Donnie Ventacinqua sent me Thief, so I want to fight. I want to bet from him, so he sent me Thief. That's another Michael Mann movie that I can't wait to cover. And it's just glad we did this, man, because this was our childhood. Like, we had this soundtrack. We recreated stuff from this, so it's cool to talk about it.
It's always fun to think about why you like something, too, as an adult, and what effect it had on you later in life, and this is one of the gems that really stick with you in your life. Not to get all too serious, but this was an important movie.
I mean, 31 years? 31 years.
Yeah, 92.
And to have these images still burnt in our memory means it meant something at the time.
Yeah, and I'll say this, I said this before, I'll say it again. The movies that I like these days are the ones I remember.
Yeah. If you could, that's how I do my year-end best lists.
What do I remember? Like, I know I saw this, but there's nothing that sticks out at me. So I watched The Menu recently, and I remember the whole entire movie of The Menu. I remember it because I enjoyed it so much. But the movie's just in and out.
That's one of those movies, The Menu, where I feel like you could put a VHS tape in and just fast forward it, and I could see it all in my head. Does that make sense? Like, I can play it through my head like you're fast forwarding on the DVD or Blu-ray or 4K. Like, I can watch it all again. And
yeah, that's a good example.
Just, you're kind of like, all right, cool, I see it. But yeah, this is a movie that you just remember, and yeah, it's cool. It's good. Yeah. It's a good picture.
Next podcast episode, I will find you. You must survive until then, because I will find you. I will never stop until we reach our next podcast episode.
That's right. Well, hey, thank you so much for joining me, Erik.
All right, thanks, brother.
That's awesome. All right, so for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, and for Erik Hoffmeyer, this is Movies on the Flicks. We'll see you next week.